I just messaged Aquios via YouTube comments, which are lagged out like crazy, to see if he'll actually join in on this conversation. You know, it's like I'm never one to let's talk about somebody else's problems when they're not around to say why they actually have a problem. All right, so second video of the night, man. It is Canyon Clash Friday, but we're not doing Canyon Clash. We've got Johnny, Gamer Grandpa. I always mess it up. I want to call him Grandpa Gamer. And we got Meowth and myself. And there's word on the street that Jesus, is there like a Jesus jazz? I am not sure. I've never heard of the guy. But apparently another content creator. So like if he shows up, even great. And we're going to discuss this whole AQUOSIS that guy. You know what I'm talking about. You guys watch the YouTube videos for all of Last C. I get it. So we're going to discuss that on the podcast tonight. Stay tuned. Let's see what we can come up with from an opinion standpoint and maybe a couple of facts. What do you think about that? All right, so we're here right now, and we've got Gamer Grandpa. I always jack that up. I did it in the intro, too. God, dude. I really need you to change your name. Get it trademarked. And then we've got Meowth, and we've got Johnny and myself. And like I said in the intro, there's a potential for, what's his name, Meowth? Jesus Jazz. There's going to be a musician show up that is very religious. So this will be great. This will be awesome. So let's kick it off. So the AQUOSIS thing, guys like trying to tell people to stop spending, the hype around it is he's got some sort of like, he's just a little butthurt in terms of like wasn't able to hop into another server. I don't know. I don't follow other servers, but it's a big deal. I see it popping up in my Discord, and no shade to you, AQUOSIS, because I know you watch some of my videos. But like, I get it. It's serious for AQUOSIS. Is it an actual thing that gains any traction? Who wants to kick this off? Let's go. I'll tell you what. Go ahead, Meowth. Go ahead.
So my take on all this, and I followed all of his videos, and I kind of feel like I have a good idea of what he's trying to put out to the community. He seems to be pretty upset that him and Titan can't form this super state together. And the problem with that is that he seems to be completely ignoring the fact that the damage it creates to the competitive environment. And his excuse is that, well, the game doesn't have a built-in balance to begin with. It's pay to win. So why can't states create their super alliances together and rule over everybody else? And, when I put together this group for you to have this chat with, and I was pretty specific in wanting people who have a lot of skin in the game. Like me personally, I've spent a good amount of money in this game, and I cannot imagine an environment where all of the whales are in one state, all of the big power players are in one state, and how toxic of a competitive environment that creates. And as a developer, why would I want to foster an environment that promotes that? I've watched a couple of his videos, and I feel like I have a pretty good idea of the message he's putting out, that he's wanting people to just like boycott the game and stop spending and just he was even asking people to almost look into legal services against the game as possibly a breach of legal contract. It just seems like a bunch of nonsense to me, and a non-starter to begin with, and I would almost say a complete disregard for competition within the game. I mean, that's just me. I like to have people I can compete against. I like spending money to keep up with other players. That motivates me. I can't imagine an environment where I'm spending money and not really seeing a reason to do so, competitively anyways. But that's my take.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of validity to both sides of what you said. You're trying to see, a foot in both shoes. Uh, you got to keep in mind too. You go and you spend. Let's just throw a number out there, guys. I have no idea what AQUOSIS has spent, but let's just say he spent $500,000 on this game, and he's being told,
Easy.
yeah,
Easy.
and he's being told, no, you can't. We're going to stop you because that's how we want to control the game. That's a little crappy because with $500,000, he could have bought a very hefty share of their stock and then he could have made the rules. You know what I mean? But instead, he's on the player side of it instead of not on the board side of it. Like if he was on the board of directors, he could have made a different decision. Or he could have been a dev plan at that point for whatever, however your imagination wants to take what I just said. So with that said, let's go to Grandpa. What you got?
Oh, geez. All right. Well, it's actually funny because back when I first started the channel, people asked me about this, and I didn't really have a good grasp on what was happening, but my stance has always been what's fair. Now, there's a lot of things that we don't see that happen behind the scenes that I get a glimpse of in server 15, but I'm sure is even worse across other states. But the game is going to evolve where Aquosis and Titan don't matter, right? Because they're not powerful enough for the masses. And so you look at one side where I agree that uh, Titan's logic of going to 166 made sense because his server group and all the mergers that are going to happen, there's going to be multiple Krakens that are going to go against Aquosis. I also see a closest side in the fact that all of a sudden this just pops up because Titan wants to go to 166. Had the uh, semi-open migration been announced, been made public, been part of the rules that we would have seen without diving in deep into whatever book that they have, um, then I don't think this would have been that big of a deal. But for them to go, well, you're just not going to do this, and we're going to pop up this semi-open migration to stop you, I think was unfair to those guys. Now,
I agree.
they 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 say, hey, we're going to implement this after Titan and Closest merge, albeit right
Yeah.
because they see the issue. Um, but then you go back to what's fair, and that is, yes, they would create a super state at that point, but that super state's only going to last a couple of seasons. I mean, I've got two Krakens in my server group at 271 and 272, and I mean, the game is inevitably going to create those people. So what are they going to do when 166 has three Krakens in one state, and now they're going to go after Aquosis, and Aquosis is like, listen, I need people in my state to help fight the super group that just naturally or organically built.
Yeah.
What, now Titan can't come, or now are you going to let him?
So
Right.
I just want to jump in real quick on that before we go to Johnny. All right. So I was in 131, right? And somehow 131, very weak state. We fought like demons while I was there, but we kept getting paired with 134 and random stuff. Well, at that time, the bracket, the group was smaller for the pairings. So, okay, fair enough. The game did what it could in terms of the algorithm, but we were thinking the same thing at that time. Like, why would they let so many whales in one state? That's just not right. How did a state just organically birth and end up with like 7 T10 players in season 1? Like, what the hell? Didn't make sense to us. So, with that said, I see both sides of the spectrum, sort of like Nealth was saying, and I don't think there's a good outcome for this situation. I think, and I'm throwing this out there as a content creator for the game. I think they're being punished because they don't want 3 content creators in one state. Yeah, think about that. What does that do? Everybody's recording the same footage. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just not cool for business. because they're getting free advertisement. They're not sponsoring any of us. Trust me, I've tried.
Right.
I've reached out so many times to these damn devs. And
Yeah.
Johnny's even tried to throw me a line or two because he's in direct communication with, I think, Katrina or Sophia or whatever, and just nothing. And I have almost 15,000 subs. It's like, come on, dude. You know, you got a tiny game. You want 15,000 people that follow this game to watch the content and sponsor me. I will help you out any kind of way I can. Sorry, I'm looking at the camera right now. Not a plug. I'm just saying there's a little frustration on my side with that. So I see where AQUOSIS is coming from, and I see where the devs are coming from. With that said, Johnny, your thoughts?
I think it's silly for him to think that he's entitled to it. And as a player, strictly speaking, I'll point out a couple things. One, actually, your old state merged 131.
Oh yeah, they did, right?
They can force you with people that you don't like.
Right.
Just purely speaking in that logical term, why can't they stop you from being with people you want to be with?
Yep.
I'll say too.
They have the
As a
magic
player,
keyboard.
I will say too, as a player, because I want to know what's the magic number you have to spend to be able to be entitled to what he thinks he's entitled to. Is it $1, $10, $1 million?
It's definitely not $1, but I'm sure there is a line drawn in the sand somewhere.
But that's the thing. Where is it? And why does he think that he's past that line in the sand? None of us know. And
Yeah.
I personally think as a player too, is why is it that he wants to buy stuff, I buy stuff, everyone else does in this one pairing group, but his money overrules the collective amount that everyone else spent.
Right.
Which, to be honest, if you think about it in a bracket, collectively, the highest spender is way outspent by the group. So why
Exactly.
does he think
That's my
because
point.
he is?
Yeah.
Yeah, and if he's their top guy, well, he's doing something that's going to hurt the collective people who've spent by trying to create this. I just think it's pure arrogance.
That's a fair point.
I think it is one direction that maybe the devs are thinking is that, yeah, he may spend 10, 20,000, 30,000 a week, but we've got 5,000 players that spend $500 a week or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right. So as a collective, they're going to make more money ticking him off and making sure that they don't create the super state than they are making 5,000 people mad.
Good.
I will say that.
Good point. I want to touch on that too. Go ahead, Johnny.
I will say this. There's always a question in legal, like in law, when you're fighting different conflicting rights, whose bubble gives. And to me, using that same argument, and you see it all the time in real life with groups fighting amongst each other and saying that they both have rights to this or equality to it. My point is that why does his one desire that he won, I don't understand how he thinks that it's higher than the other rights that he's trampling on. Because there's probably a lot of people in his server grouping that did not want him moving there.
Sure.
And why is it that his will of wanting the moving there is stronger, in his opinion, than those people whose will is they don't want him there because it's going to ruin things for them?
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to ruin anything for him if he's not in that server with that guy, but it's going to ruin a lot of stuff for everyone else if he is.
I touched on that. I think it was the last one you and I did, Grandpa. I was just like the developers don't care because they're on server, 710 now or some shit like that. And they don't care because there's going to be somebody new that comes in. That's the same sucker that we are. That's going to drop the money in there. They don't care if that one mega whale quit spending. Well, that one mega whale's done spending, right? Like they're not making any money off of him anymore. They just got everything that they could tangibly get from somebody that maxed out their tech, maxed out their tank. What else do they get? They're getting nothing. So if he wants to say this is what I was going towards earlier after you commented, Grandpa. That's something I wanted to touch on. It's like there's 500 people lined up that'll spend a little bit, that'll make up for what he's not spending. He says he's going to stop spending, but if he is already done spending because there's nothing else to spend on other than resources, like he just, he's not spending much. Now, sure, he has that cost of maintaining the account, but that's nowhere near, the couple of grand, 20 grand a week or whatever it was that he was spending at whatever point. So I get that.
Well, all of it's a calculated risk, right? I mean, they've got so much analytics and so much data in this game that they're pulling. They absolutely know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. So it was a calculated risk for them to put the semi-open migration on it. Only time will tell us what's going to happen.
Yeah, I just think that, it's not behooving of me to talk about another content creator on the game. I just think this one's super interesting, and he does comment on a lot of videos. So I kind of wanted to get into like what's actually going on. Like, let's figure out what's going on in his head. Let's figure out what's going on in the dev's head. Let's speculate, right, and talk about it. Mm-hmm. For one, everybody kind of is curious about it. Anybody that's following this game, they're curious about it. So
I will say this because I think I was the most hypercritical of the whole issue and everything. But I will say strictly, in his sense too, and I can adopt this view as well too, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other people could, is that he's showing that he's a very invested person by what he spends compared to the individuals that may come and go. And for him to be blindsided like that, I will say that there is counter argument that isn't exactly fair. And likewise too, that's not like respectful to somebody of his caliber and what he does, both in, what he spends on the game, but also what he puts into the game community. So I will say that is what they did do, the way they did it and the way they blindsided it, that was very disrespectful to him.
It was. And the other side to this is that I think AQUOSIS overcalculated his influence in the community. He, as a content creator, he has a presence, but I think he overplayed his hand. And that's the unfortunate side. I think when this is all looked back on 2-3 months from now, he's going to be the one who's looked at as the one in the wrong. And that's only because it's like too little too late. And his complaint that he has publicized is probably falling on deaf ears. Like most of the people that he would be competing against are probably going to be against his rationale for his complaint to begin with.
And I will say that there's an old saying, you pick and choose your battles. I feel that the developers are winning the public relations side of this.
Yeah, with 300,000 Discord members. Yeah, I think so too.
But what I'm saying is the way that this is being viewed by people who play the game, just the overall issue that he doesn't look good by pressing it the way he's pressing it. It may negatively influence how individuals in the community perceive him.
Sure. And you know what? Ultimately, the devs are going to be able to control that narrative. It's their court that we're playing on. Like the Lakers don't go to, somebody else's court and think they own it. Whether they win or lose, they don't own that court. So it's just one thing. Hold on, I'm trying to read text and talk at the same time. My son just got home. So, but I don't think he or any of us, or even if we all combine forces, I don't think we're going to have the sway that we think we would on that. Unless, sure, there's always a way, with any sort of media narrative, you can twist it any sort of way you want. But I don't see where the productivity is in that. Like what we're just fighting against the establishment which is an establishment that we chose to be a part of and we chose to spend money in. It's not like we were born into this, right? So fighting this thing is just, I feel like it's a moot thing.
But if we don't fight, right? So when you don't fight, you don't create change. Now, will the devs think twice the next time they try to pull something like this? I hope so. And maybe that's what AQUOSIS' whole point of this is, right?
Yeah, true.
Don't surprise us with game changes that were not in the game prior to us doing something.
Yeah.
Because it's not fair.
Also, it also points to the best lesson in all of this.
No.
This is the best lesson anyone can get from this. If you're going to make a big move, you shut the fuck up and don't tell everyone you're making a big move.
Well, yes, with Titan, yeah, if they hadn't publicized that Titan was going to move and join AQUOSIS, this would have been you could argue this would have been a non-starter. But what happened. I think the bigger issue, though, for AQUOSIS anyways, is that he's fighting this battle alone. The reality is there aren't a lot of loud voices in this space right now.
Mm-hmm.
The content creators that are in Lastz aren't, I mean, they're not very hyper well known within the community. I know, like, for me, like, I'm in 279 and I hype my corner. My corner, Swade is the corner of the social media landscape that I hype with my group. And I don't know if AQUOSIS, as big as he is, I don't know if he has that reach, and I think he overplayed his hand. That's my thoughts on it. I think that he, despite all the money he spent and as cool as he is, I just think he overestimated the level of influence on the game he has.
Sure.
And unfortunately, I think he's going to be the one who's going to look back on this and said, dang, I missed an opportunity. Because Titan is the other player in this, and I just don't see the same level of animosity from him as well. And there's lots of rumors around him as well. Like, he got like exclusive compensation for not being able to migrate that other players didn't get as a result of all this. That's floating around. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But AQUOSIS himself has been the one to say that happened. So,
well, listen, whether that's true or not, that's good for those guys if they got shafted that way.
Proof can be provided by them.
Well, screenshot goes a long way.
There is one thing I don't know about this whole debacle or saga that maybe it may fundamentally change how everyone views this. Were both of their states restricted, or only his state?
I think it was both, dude. Because they didn't. What was happening was you were talking about.
If
no.
Was restricted,
it was.
Then the other, they could have flopped to the other one.
No, because of the elite status, right? You can only bring in one elite. So
but what I'm saying is, hear me out.
AQUOSIS state had more elite players in it, so it made sense for Titan to go to join AQUOSIS. That's where
what I'm saying is if they're complaining that those two can't be together, AQUOSIS could have went to Titan's state, unless if his state was semi-restricted.
And that's the problem. It wasn't that they couldn't combine. It's that they couldn't combine together specifically within AQUOSIS' state, because his state specifically was already super strong.
I think that's more of an argument than to say that. What I'm trying to get at is that AQUOSIS can't say that they won't allow him and Titan together if only AQUOSIS' state was restricted, because AQUOSIS could have went to Titans and they could have been together.
I think Swade is right. I think both states were actually restricted from having elite players join either one. So I think this all comes down to the fact that neither one could link up because of that.
They actually posted it.
And then
I'm going to broadcast
which states were restricted, and then state
166 and state 173, those were the two that were specifically restricted from having elite players join them.
There were some others.
That's the state that both of them live in.
Okay, then that's important, because if it wasn't, then they could.
No, 175 is where Titan is.
Okay, so technically, then AQUOSIS could have joined 175. Then, if that's the case,
Yeah, I'm trying to find.
Yeah,
where
so they could have been together.
Oh, migration announcements. Here we
Yeah,
go.
that's what I'm reading right now, Grandpa. Is that
So it
very
was.
what you just talked about?
So it was 373, 173,
Can you share it?
166. It should be on screen, isn't it?
You don't have a stream going in Discord. Throw the Discord stream up. Gotcha.
So what they did is they gave us the analytics behind what they did. Right.
Who is they? Sorry to interrupt, but who is they?
Last Z. So this is their Discord, Last Z Devs Discord.
Okay.
And this particular announcement was made April the 29th. And they wanted to explain what semi-open states were and how they calculated it. And of course, you can read it all, but essentially they gave an overall score based on number of elites, number of advanced, number of intermediates. And based on that score is whether or not you got a semi-open state or not. And 166 got limited, 173, and 373. All three of those got.
Jeez.
And
what the hell's
18.
What the hell's going on at 373? What? Jesus.
They are in a civil war, but they are 30 points higher than their second place state.
Jeez.
So they are massively overpowered than all the other states. So
wow.
Again, you go back to what's fair. Is it fair for 373 to be 30 points higher than any other state and just dominate everything?
Hold on.
For the other state?
Kill your live stream real quick. It's making an echo.
Oh my.
No, you're okay. You're okay. All right. So, with that being said, let's talk about fair for a second, because fair is subjective. If that state 373, which is way younger than every one of our states that we're in, if they manage to be that damn strong, good on them. But let's say if 373 merged with Titan and AQUOSIS and those guys, right? If that was allowed. So now you have a monster state. How does the algorithm pair that state at that point? It can't figure out how to throw in a good opponent for Canyon Clash or SVS or AVA. It just gets so convoluted to where, okay, this shit's way up here. There's nothing we can do. Like the algorithm can't even pair it. Like there's nobody even close. So nobody wins except for one state. So something to be said about that, I think.
So I've seen AQUOSIS's videos, and what he seems to be suggesting is that the old method of bracketing different states together within seasons or within like their relative state age, instead bracket them based on their power and bracket them based on their performance in SVS. And if that means pairing a double-digit state with a triple-digit state, so be it. His solution, while it seemed like on face value to be valid, I don't see how you program that. How do you pair a state that's 163 to a state that's 373? That doesn't make sense. At the same time, he also advocates that there be a change in how different players are graded. Players like myself and Johnny and Grandpa, even though we would be technically elite players, there are different structures within the elite players. Like AQUOSIS is an elite player. I'm an elite player, but AQUOSIS stomps me. How can we both be technically counted the same in like the migration system? That doesn't make any sense. So a fundamental change in all of that probably is needed. And if the devs would make that more transparent, that probably buys some definitely goodwill within the community.
Hey, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I got mixed thoughts on that one. I just messaged AQUOS via YouTube comments, which are lagged out like crazy, to see if he'll actually join in on this conversation. It's like I'm never one to let's talk about somebody else's problems when they're not around to say why they actually have a problem. So I want to see if he'll join. If not, I'll do a dedicated vid with just him. And I told him this is a dedicated vid about your situation. And we got 2 content creators here currently. Let's just go through it. So we'll see if that pans out. But in the interim, I think, I think we have beat the shit out of that horse. What do you guys think?
I think so. I think the problem isn't big. It doesn't require a lot of conversation. It's just more perspective about what is competitive, what is balance. I know he has harped on the fact that Last Z does not, even though it says it tries to pursue things that are a balanced state competitive environment. It's a pay to win system, so it's not balanced to begin with. But that is only when you compare pay to win with the free to play players. When it comes to us that invest thousands and thousands of dollars in this game, suddenly competitive balance matters very, very much.
It's a different bracket, and I think it needs to be paired in that bracket. Okay, and I think that's how, like, if they're gonna do forced mergers, they need to take folks that are spending like that and force them into certain servers. So now there's a more, like you said, competitive bracket, right? And what would happen with that would be like, okay, well, now Meowth and Grandpa are in the same server against AQUOSIS and Jay Gotti and shit like that. Boom, you just went from Thurver. That's not even a real word. You just went from server like 373 into 15 because that's where your strength is. So now you're going to compete between, it's not even a bracket anymore in terms of just the age of them. It's like everybody in this bracket is 15, 150, 373. Like the bracket just, it's different. It's just not sequential, if that makes sense. And that would be more fair for the way that the game lays it out. It's exactly how Rise of Kingdoms did it. And they would throw us into, dude, we were in 2375 and got paired against like 102. Like, what the hell? We're like, wow, okay. We did that good? Or did 102 do that bad? That's a very old server. So I think it just does a shit job of trying to do a bracket. Oh, you're going to be within your age group. I understand why they do it that way because the game is relatively fresh. Rise of Kingdoms is old. But you take a game like this, you got to give it time to grow. And it's growing. We see it, right? So, like, let it grow, and then they'll change the way that they're doing it. It's just right now, it's not appeasing everybody. I can tell you right now that our Canyon Clash matchups in 133 are sometimes so fucked that we're just like, there's no fucking way we should have been paired against that person, or that alliance. It's just, it's dumb.
Yeah.
Sort of like,
for today. And speaking of that, so Grandpa and our alliances went against each other in Canyon Clash today. While my alliance got completely dumped on, and we got dunked on hard, I never felt like it was unfair. Like, it just felt like this was just a state, an alliance that has had more time to gel, more time to grow. That's all it felt like. It didn't feel unfair, like overwhelmingly like unfair. Even though they were 18 servers younger than us, it never felt like that. Like we have actual whales in our bracket that just, I'm almost 500 million power and I get completely wrecked by this guy. Like, it's not even funny. Like, there is levels to this game, and when you feel it, you really know it. And
they did actually do a good job with the arena leagues, right? So they pair everybody appropriately in the arenas. And I think that's great. I think they just need to take that pairing, with SVS a little bit, and work that avenue, and also Canyon Clash as well. But hold on. Word on the street is there was this guy called Grandpa that was bullying the shit out of you, Meowth.
So the funny thing about all this is that like, when we got paired for Canyon, like, and I saw that we were paired against him, I'm like, well, this is completely ridiculous. Like, completely, like 261 is like, they're well known as being very strong. And 279 ain't bad. We're not bad, but we definitely felt overmatched. And the funny thing about all this is the very first opportunity I had to zero Grandpa, I took it. He was sending tanks
Hey,
out against
I was going to tell you.
Captain, and I jumped right on him,
Hell
zeroed him
yeah.
out.
I told you he's going to send all four. He's going to send all 4 tanks. You'll be able to get him. No problem, man.
Yep, I sure did.
Poof. Gone.
Yeah. Yeah. I got the boss though. I mean, that was
You did.
that was the whole intent. But yeah. Well, 36C has done a really good job of unifying and synchronizing us as the alliance, right? Titan has done an amazing job at that, and Biddy, and all the leadership. But anyone who's watching this, don't do Canyon without Discord.
Oh, yeah.
Discord is a game changer.
Not just being in Discord typing, be in the voice chat.
Be in the voice chat, because I'm going, hey, I'm getting hit. I need 2 people to come reinforce me. And like you saw me out, right? Within seconds, I had guys sitting in my base.
And I was complaining about it in my voice chat too. I'm like, gosh, their reaction time is so fast.
That's because of voice chat.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And we're still trying to educate our group as well that the importance of voice chat is so good.
Yep.
So I'm happy to
Yeah,
hear
well,
Grandpa.
you want to know? You want to know something? I don't speak fucking Chinese, so voice chat ain't fucking helping me. I don't know what the fuck. Like, I'm just saying though. Like, some of us don't have that luxury of one alliance that speaks English or whatever the fuck. Like me. Like, I think there's like, I counted. There's 4 other people. No, 3. Serg, Bam, and I think Goose. Yeah, those are like and CC. There's 4 other people that can speak English and Parf, so 5.
Oh.
What I'm saying is like, I'm fucked. Like,
Yeah,
I can't do this.
You're boned, buddy.
Can't do this.
You're
Yeah, like we just got to wing it.
Listen,
with what we got in the game.
Listen, you're okay though, because everybody else around you does speak Chinese, so you're solid. At least they're coordinating. You're just the guy stuck out in the jungle being like, WTF, mate, I don't even know where to go. So like
The good thing is though, is for Canyon though, is for Team 2, I'm the whale for it. So it's, if you think of it that way, it's not that big of a deal, because I would just wail around and do whatever the fuck I wanted anyways.
Yeah.
So
everybody knows.
Worked.
Everybody knows Johnny the painter. You're infamous on this game, so they know that you're just going to wail around and do whatever the fuck you want, dude.
Yeah, and then then we sync together. We use our Jedi senses or whatever the hell, and we do well.
Yeah.
I mean,
use body language. Be on camera.
We just went against Don's Alliance and Canyon Clash and beat him.
Yeah, we beat him too.
Yeah, Don was on, Dream was on, and then I was playing the second team because the main one plays in the morning over here, and it's too early for me. But anyways, yeah, we beat him with our team too, and Don was in there, and they're bigger hitters.
Sauron.
Agree.
But
do you guys mind if I kind of segue to a different topic real quick, since I have you guys here?
Yeah, absolutely. One sec. Yeah. So what's up, Meowth?
So I actually wanted to follow up on this whole Lastz.tools thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
So as somebody who, I invested into this on Swade's goodwill, on Grandpa Gamer, backing it. I did the $50. I'm all in. And it seems like the project is kind of falling off the rails. I still believe in it. I have no ill will to it. I understand how this stuff works. The radio silence is a little concerning. And I do know there's a lot of people that, like me, went into the project because it was endorsed by you guys, and we're kind of seeing a radio silence. So I kind of want to get your guys' input on this.
So my thoughts are, and Grandpa is going to know more because he was way closer to it, but I just want to throw that out there for the community is like the way that he was gathering that info is the only way that you can gather that info in any game, any piece of software. So like it was legit. It is legit. It's got me more concerned about his health and his personal life because he put a shit ton of time into that thing, man. I mean, a massive shit ton. So for him to just drop it, especially after it was monetizing, that doesn't make any sense. So you can't look at it in terms of, and I was reading through his Discord and I saw a bunch of people being like, oh yeah, that's one way to scam people. That's not what that was. That's not what this is. This is something's going on. And he also would post like damn near daily about any sort of updates, upgrades, patches, anything that he was doing to it. And for him to just go radio silence, that's not some guy that's sitting on a cell phone out in bumfuck Egypt trying to scam people out of money. Something's going on. So you guys have to have some patience on that one. And I'm looking at the camera, Meow, not at you guys, just telling the audience on that. But Grandpa, go ahead.
My whole thoughts on this, like I saw your video on this and I read the Discord posts. I was well after migration. So, I mean, technically the service didn't do me any good up front, but it was the potential that it had. And, I already spend money on this game. So $50 wasn't a big deal to me personally. Now, I know $50 is a lot of money to some people.
Yeah.
I'm not discounting that. That's not the point here. The point is that I can say from personal experience that the migration score that was advertised and the formula around that matched exactly what I got. So I supported it from day one. I went all in, lifetime membership, $50, and it's been radio silence for a while. I still believe in the project.
What is it like? 2 weeks?
About 2 weeks, and I get it. It's we're still, like, for me personally, I'm in 279. We're months away from migration, so there's plenty of time to get it fixed. But it wasn't, the developer. I know you're watching this. I know you're hearing this. I'm just gonna say it just from me personally. Your service was more than just the migration score. You had an actual functional, technology predictor where you could input your, where you're at with tech. That was useful stuff. Having the website down and not having access to that sucks because Stress Wars website isn't complete. He's missing some data. So yours actually was completed. So there is an actual value that's still there despite not having access to the migration stuff.
Yeah.
And you not being there for your community, it hurts us. It's okay that the website's down, that you can't predict the migration score, that you don't have access to the stats. It's okay. No one's going to chop you down for that. We just want you to come back to us, be part of our community. Let us engage with you. Let us come, how can we help? Is there another way we can help? I just wish that we had that. So if that's why I believe that there's something that might be wrong and like in the real world.
And we might be able to help with that too. And before
maybe the guy just wants to be left alone so he can do his damn thing and then get it fixed.
That could be true.
Great, crazy idea there. Or he's on a vacation.
You typically don't start something internet based and wish to be left alone. I'm just throwing that out there. It typically never happens.
Very hyper technical. You kind of have to be left alone to fix the problem and not be fucking around on podcasts.
Maybe he wasn't. So he only fucked around on one or two.
I personally want to give the benefit of the doubt here, just because of he advertised the service and he delivered that service in the beginning. So I have no reason to believe that this was a scam. There's legitimate stuff here.
Yes.
I just wish that if someone in his circle, in his private circle, could show up somewhere and let us know what's going on, I think that would alleviate a lot of the concern that the community might have.
So, the closest we have is Stress War and Grandpa right now. And before you jump in, Grandpa, Stress War actually said he's 80% done with the other techs, to update his site as well. He mentioned that in my Discord, and shameless plug here. Like, if you guys are watching this and you're not in the Discord, like, my Discord is like where you're getting kind of the upfront shit. Like, we hang out, we talk, we do this kind of stuff. So join in. You'll enjoy that. Grandpa, hit it up, man. Sorry about that.
All right. So Bond was part of another group that migrated into us. Bond and 36C became really good friends. Bond and us talked daily, if not multiple times a day. Great guy. New Zealand. Again, we talked all the time. Very personal, one-on-one. And so he migrates to 36C. We use his migration tools, just like everyone else did at that time. And he comes to 36C and 261, and he's developing this. And of course, I gave him my season 3 guide. He actually put it up there on his website. He used several other creators, gave them mention.
I never got my mention.
All in, man. Spending money, playing with us. He was R4 at 36C every single day, communicating. I saw, and we talked daily on how much work he was putting into that. And so I said, hey, man, I'm in IT. I can support IT. Let me help you out. What is it that I can do? So he put the bot on 36C. He put the bot on Grandpa. And I'm like, all right, show me the commands. Let me help with some of the support tickets. And then I saw where it was going. I'm like, how much could I get in for, right? If I made some money or if I invested some money. And so we talked about a number. It was a fair number. And he got really busy. I got really busy. So no money actually ever transferred. And I never saw the back end source code. I know how he gets his numbers, but I never saw the source code. I never saw
We shall not
the
mention.
payment system.
Yeah.
No, I never saw the payment system, but he said that he used Snipes. We went over the numbers on that because I'm an investor, or was going to be an investor. And all of a sudden he asked to not be an R4 anymore. And I'm like, okay, well, we get that. Some people don't. And then, I mean, he's pinging me at midnight, at 6 a.m., at 4 o'clock in the morning, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, are you sleeping? He goes, no, man, I got to get this. The system broke. I got to get back up. And, he's just overwhelmed. You can see it. And we're all going, how could we help? How could we really this? Because the site's amazing. And then all of a sudden, he's just not playing the game as much. And we're like, hey, man, are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. I'm just really trying to get this. I got new features. I got analytics. I got all this stuff coming out. Like, all right, but I'm not a developer. I do not do apps. I'm only IT. And he's like, no, I got it. And then all of a sudden he pings us one day, hey, we're getting out of the games. My wife and I have been playing this, and we're no longer playing Last Sea. Gave his account away, and he's out. And then he goes, Grandpa, do you want to buy this or not?
How old is this information?
This was about a week before he shut the system down. Before it went in migration. He quit the game.
I feel stupid.
And he's like, Grandpa, do you really want to buy this? If you buy this, I will support you for 1 year. Anyone else buys it, I'm not supporting them. But for you, I'll actually dev, I will bug fix for 12 months. And so I talked with my wife and I'm like, hey, the problem is being in IT this long for 40 years, you can make promises that you 100% mean, but life happens. And next thing you know, you're gone. And I've got money invested in a program. I know no way to actually develop, keep up, bug fix, or any of that. And so
hold on. I got a guy. No bullshit.
And so I told him, I'm like, I can't see me doing it because I don't know the system. And he said, okay, I understand. Thank you. I just wanted to reach out one more time. Hadn't heard a peep from him.
All right. Reach out again. I got a guy that can take it over. We can talk about some sort of investment opportunity there, but it's not going to be what he thinks it's worth. I don't think the valuation of something that just started 3 or 4 or 5 weeks ago is going to be very high, despite what he thinks, it took to get it to that point. So, very minimal investment, I would think on our end, but a lot of work. And I got a guy. So, I'll talk to that guy. You and I will talk offline off this video, and we'll see what we can do with that. In the interim, now everybody actually has their answer for Lastz.tools.
But I will say, I think something tragic has happened in his life. I don't know what it is, But from a guy to go heavily involved, communicating with everyone, fun, loving, talk to you anytime, to I'm out, something has happened.
Sure. At the same time too, though, bud, you have to realize like sometimes you just burn out, and you might not be burnt out yesterday, but today you're like, fuck the world. I don't give a shit. Just all of a sudden you wake up and you're just like, I'm done, so it could be that.
Yeah, maybe it's one thing. It would be like you got a group of friends that you are close friends with, and then you're just like, guys, I'm out.
Yeah.
And silence. Right. I mean, it's hard not to think something traumatic has happened.
Understood.
And
yeah.
So
I've had that happen in the other game. It's like, give me some sort of clarification or some sort of, just put this to bed.
Yeah.
Exactly. And this is the danger of attaching your name to a new project. A lot of people, they invested and bought into this because the two of you endorsed it. Your names carry weight in our community. And then when a project fails like this, the first look is, do I trust you anymore? There's a trust element here. There's, a responsibility to your community.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it really is. And, for us to buy into it, we're also, gung ho and want to support it in any sort of way that we can. And that's not just driving traffic to it. Like Grandpa said, how can we help? Because I like this. What can we do to speed this along or take something off of your plate, kind of thing. But just with any business deal, sometimes shit goes sour and shit just upsets, and there's nothing you can do about all right, I'll tell you what, you go buy a car. You going to blame the salesman or are you going to blame the manufacturer?
Bingo. Yep.
Yeah.
Right there.
So we're selling, but we didn't build it. So,
Yeah, and I didn't make any money off of it. I mean,
didn't either. Made a couple bucks off of ad revenue. Like I'm thinking, like if I had to put it on paper, I made about $2. So if that helps anybody understand how YouTube works. So
I invested maybe 40 hours of my life into it, just helping the guy out.
Yeah, which fun. It's a hobby. It's fun.
Yes.
And look, at the end of the day, guys, and you people watching behind this damn camera, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're spending money or not spending money. If you enjoy that shit, do it. Because I do woodworking. Believe it or not. Yes, I have a shit ton of tools in this studio right over there. You can't see them. But I do woodworking. That's an expensive hobby. This game is cheap compared to that shit. So just throwing that out there. If it's a hobby and you smile, do it. And it's going to cost you money. By the way, nobody has a free hobby. Name one free. Well, I can name one free hobby that most dudes do. But anyway, like name a hobby. Name a hobby that's free. There isn't one. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, well, I really do hate it for everyone who got heavily invested in it, time wise. And I am going to reach out to Bond and see if we can't get the product. And if we can, then Swade and I will bring it back online.
Cool. I think Bond would do himself a lot of favors if he would just come online and explain what's going on.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter what the reason is. I think just his visibility and owning whatever it is and staying, if he's willing to be part of the community even after the fact, awesome. If he's got something real life going on, I feel for you, dude. Just let us know. So we know
honestly, I want to know as well, because I check in on his Discord, and I just see the turmoil that's basically happening in that general chat in there. And he designed this to be part of an alliance's or a server's Discord. So he interjects that bot into that. That's what you're paying the $50 for, is to have that. And cause I tried to get it just for HSD, because it really doesn't work that way. It's like meant to be in the server's Discord. And I was just like, yeah, that's fair. I understand that more now that you answered that question, which I kind of felt dumb because I was like, yeah, I see what you're saying, so, but anyway, it's if you're paying the $50 and you're not getting what you want out of it, dude, all we can say for pitching it is sorry. and I think Grandpa's going to agree with that. But look, again, don't blame the salesman, blame the manufacturer. We didn't know that he was just going to belly up. Maybe he hasn't bellied up. What we've been saying is, hopefully, this guy is okay. Everything's going okay in his life, and he's on a vacation and, drinking beers on the beach. Hopefully that's what it is. Then we can be pissed at him. Otherwise, if he comes back with some story that's way more tragic than that, God, man, nobody wants to hear that news.
Yeah. I can tell you that there are more traumatic things in life that happen than the few $1,000 that people have paid him.
Yeah.
So,
it's a very few $1,000. It's not a massive amount of money.
Yeah.
And this isn't to discount each individual person's purchase, because $50 is $50 is $50.
Right.
But there was nothing malicious about this. As just a straight customer, like, I have no skin in this game, but I care more about the individual than the loss of $50.
No, brother, your animosity is on point, because like I have walked back into a store before because of a $1 purchase. I'm like, no, I want a fucking refund. This pack of gum was already opened. Yeah. I'm not paying for this shit. I want my $1 back. And they're like, seriously? I'm like, oh yeah, I really do. I was like, it's the principle at this point. Like, I want my money.
It's like, what is it with charging me to swap pepperoni or swap ham for pepperoni? Like, you're literally swapping the same ingredient, but you're going to charge me a $5 upgrade?
Yeah.
I'm not buying your pizza.
It's pork.
Listen, since you brought that up, Taco Bell is the worst. If I want to just switch the sauce from Chipotle to spicy ranch, it costs me money. To literally change the fucking sauce that they're putting on the damn thing.
And real quick, Grandpa, I know you're a very wise man, but I don't think you understand the complexity of the ham pepperoni economy. It's much more complicated than you think. There are spices
you know
that
what?
go into there.
Eat the 0.72 cents that you got to eat to give me pepperoni versus
Hey,
ham.
you put a pineapple on your pizza, we can't be friends.
All right, I guess I'm leaving the Discord now.
Yeah.
All right. Sweet.
Yeah. I'm
All
definitely
over
a
us.
pineapple
Fucking
guy.
pineapple.
On a pizza?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Love
God.
pineapple on a pizza. Love it.
Pineapple?
Listen, what you do is
Go ahead.
you do fresh strawberries.
What?
What the absolute
Get
fuck?
out of here. Boot
Johnny's
him.
trolling.
Where's his?
Ain't nobody
Do I
putting
have
strawberry
boot
on a pizza.
capability?
I feel like his doobie kicked in.
Give it a try. Give it a try.
He's just hungry.
Give it a try. Give it a
He's
try.
just-
Nice.
Oh, let me guess. You eat figs with your pierogies, right?
What?
That's what you do.
Hey now.
What's a pierogi?
Yeah.
Pierogies are delicious. You can literally put anything in a pierogi.
Oh, okay, so it sounds like gumbo. I'm down.
They're like Polish. They're Polish dumplings,
Say more.
and you could.
That's it. That's all.
I mean, they're usually stuffed with cabbage, cheese, or potato. My favorite's potato.
Go on.
But I mean, the bakery I used to work at when I was a kid, they have buffalo chicken wing pierogies, and they're so good.
buffalo chicken gumbo. Did we make that a thing?
Nah, because the sauce mixes with the roux. It doesn't work. Sorry. Trust me, we tried everything with the gumbo you can imagine. I'm literally from South Louisiana. So yeah, it's
shrimp scampi gumbo, shrimp barbecue shrimp gumbo,
shrimp
You sound like Bubba.
shrimp po' boy. Yes, sir. We've done it.
gumbo in a roll.
Oh, whoa. Okay. All right. Another video. But we'll talk
in a roll.
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
like a kolache, just make a gumbo kolache.
All right, so as we wind down here, Swade, I really just want to put out that as just a player, I appreciate you guys really being in this community. I know, like, my alliance specifically, we're the top alliance in 279.
That's a shocker. People think I'm an asshole.
No. You'd be surprised. You guys have a lot of weight in the community. you foster a community for us to come together and share information and stuff. And I mean, I don't want to shine your ass or anything, but I appreciate it, man. I really
Let's
do.
spit on it first.
Yeah, it's but no, I appreciate that because that's my goal is to just have a bunch of us hanging out because we're all doing the same shit. We're doing the same damn thing.
Yeah.
And we're saying the same shit. We just have some questions along the way. So you might not know the answer. He might not know the answer. I might not know the answer. Let's throw it out there. Okay, well, now what you did was spark some curiosity. So somebody's going to go figure out that damn answer because they're like, dude, I want to know that too. So you take somebody like Johnny, for example, that spent 2 days putting pen to paper, trying to figure out your migration score formula, right? Then he wrote up a goddamn syllabus on how to do it. And I was just like, wow. That's fucking impressive. He goes, yeah, I couldn't get it off my head. I had to fucking put it out there. Here it is. And it's going to be correct within like nth degree, here and there, just depending upon what the devs do. So that's the kind of community that I like because we're working for the same goal because the devs don't tell us shit. They don't tell you. They don't like how the fuck you going to know what your migration score is? Like, okay, maybe you know your medium. But do you know your advanced? Because they did just change that, right? So now advanced is 100 million, whereas I think it was 80 million before. So like it's fucked up shit like that.
Here's the thing. If we just had completely accurate and enough data points right at migration, that's we can literally have anyone calculate their scores with that formula until it's changed.
Yeah, and we can still do that, with, well, never mind. I was going to say Lastz.tools. Scratch that plug.
If a dev catches wind of this podcast, I would just say there is a open heart desire for transparency here. You've got people that want to throw money at you. All we're asking for is a little transparency. That's all we want.
Speak Mandarin.
Fair point.
Just some transparency that, I mean, you've
just
got
people
that write you blank checks for $100,000. I mean, I'm like $100,000 into your game. I'm just telling you right now. I don't ask for much, just some transparency. That's all.
Yeah.
Really?
I'm not
Why
opposed
make
to
it
it. I just
class
want
twice a week.
transparency.
And that's not a big ask either. Like that's fucking simple, right? So like, hey, tell me how to know what my migration score is going to be. Is it structure power, this power, that power, and then divided by 4? Like what the fuck? How are y'all coming up with it? Just give us something to figure that out because they don't want to. They don't want to do that because what that's going to do is that's going to hinder you from your spending. But I don't think they're taking into consideration that it doesn't actually, because you'll still spend, you just won't use what you bought, right? So like you're buying frags, you're buying, components, you're buying chips, or you're buying, shit for gear, whatever. Maybe you don't upgrade your buildings, but you're still making sure that your warehouse is stocked for whenever you do migrate. That's part of gaming. You game the system. So whether you're buying or not, it wouldn't take anything out of their pocket. All it's going to say is for you and the devs is he's still spending the same amount of money, but his power is way lower. He could be 100 million higher right now if he used everything in his warehouse. But dude, that's not killing anybody's revenue. So I don't understand why that's not a thing. So I'm on your side with that.
Yeah, you guys just spend a lot more money. Can one of you guys reach out to the devs and say, run it by them? Super Canyon Clash.
I think
100 versus 100.
I think actually, Grandpa Mouth, you might too, and Johnny, I know definitely has contacts with the I call it devs in Discord, but they're not devs. They're just marketing specialists. That's all they are.
Yeah. Nicks.
Okay, Super Canyon Clash. Once you get zeroed, you're out.
Or like
that's it.
Like what about a Canyon Clash bracket? Sort of like they do the Champions Tool. That'd be fun as shit too.
It's basically like a 10 server versus 10 server, like demolition derby.
I know. Say less.
There
four
there are
teams in
lots
Candy
of really
Crush.
cool ideas. There really are. But what it comes down to is, rather than just give us, you know, the illusion of influence, genuinely interact with your community and elicit genuine responses from them.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that's it. And especially if you're serious about, you know, getting into that Western community, that's what we demand. If you want our money, at some point you're gonna have to give us some skin in the game, even if it's the illusion of skin, even if it's just
Yeah.
give me a voice at the table and no vote. I don't care what it is,
Yeah.
but
Just let
if
me
you want my
listen.
money, just listen. Give me a face to yell at. I don't care what it is.
So
I
you're
don't-
saying season 6 replaced the tank with a Dodge Charger?
Yo, what?
Well, I don't even expect that much. Gosh, I mean, just
Destroyers turn into F-150s?
All
like
right.
I personally, I don't have a link to the devs. I wasn't fortunate enough to get that invite in season 1, so I don't have any connection to them. But they still, you know, the checks still cash at the end of the day. So
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, man. I just want to say thanks to everybody. I appreciate everything that you guys put into it. Y'all did great. It was a good time. We're going to end the podcast here. It was a long one, man. I think we're well over an hour. So look, check the descriptions. Well, the description. Sorry, we drink while we do this sometimes, so our words come out funny. So check those out. Hit the links up. Definitely join the Discord. Check out Gamer Grandpa. Check out his YouTube channel. He's on the up and coming. He's fun, man. That he's a great guy. So anyway, we'll catch you guys on the next one, man. Thanks.